Welcome back to the House of Ravenbrook. I'm Eric, and today's episode is called Flame Keepers and the Path to Unity. Joining me, as ever, are Ruby and Elijah. How are you two doing?
Oi, not too shabby. And I reckon this one's a biggie. I love any excuse to talk about the Flame Keepers. It's such a cool title, isn't it? I mean, who wouldn't want to be keeper of a mystical flame?
It is evocative, isn't it? But it's more than just a lovely name. The Flame Keepers are really the heart of the House of Ravenbrook, in my view. They're sort of the tradition bearers, but also the peacemakers. They hold the lineage, but their actual mission is all about teaching peace, resilience, and coexistence.
Exactly. They're not gatekeepers. If anything, they're more like guides. I actually had the chance to attend a Ravenbrook gathering a few years ago. The central ritual was led by a Flame Keeper, and it was honestly staggering how transformative it felt. There were people from all sorts of traditions, and the focus wasn't on conformity, but on creating a space for everyone to feel safe and seen. All centered around this symbolic, shared flame, imagined or literal. It didn't matter. It became a focal point for unity without uniformity.
That's so different to the stuffiness I sometimes expect from, a lot of spiritual events. Everyone in a circle chanting the same old thing. Here it's about resilience, like going through hard times as a community and coming out the other side together. That's, it hits different. It hits.
And the way peace and coexistence are woven into everything, the keeper's job is about holding that center, not controlling it. Reminds me of what we discussed in our last episode about small rituals actually sparking wider resilience. There's a wisdom to letting people belong as they are. The flame, I think, is a metaphor for that living commitment to unity and respect.
So can we talk about this radical compassion thing? It's all over Ravenbrook's book, Unleashing the Spirit, right? Whole chapters on shaking off fear, questioning everything, and just following your gut. When I first picked it up, swear to the goddess, I thought, here comes another love and light book. But he's basically saying, question the unquestionable, even the bits you don't want to look at.
Spot on, Ruby. Ravenbrook writes, and I'm paraphrasing here, that the world's a tapestry of light and darkness. So much hope, but also so much division, much of it engineered by fear and dogma. He doesn't offer a religion, he offers a journey back to your own spirit. And the essence is simple: love, freedom, equality. That's it. Not dogma, not division. It's a kind of, I suppose, spiritual anarchism.
I think it's important the way he encourages us to listen to the whispers of intuition, even when it runs counter to what's expected. The courage to confront fear as a tool of control. There's a lot to unpack there. It really pushes against passive acceptance, doesn't it? Instead, you get this sense that spiritual maturity means confronting what you've inherited and then choosing love, even when that feels risky.
Yeah, it's like my Aussie skepticism. That got a proper thrashing reading Ravenbrook. I kept going, wait, you're allowed to ask that? Turns out, yeah, you are. Almost feels like the whole tradition is built for rebels who care about each other. Laughs. I'll take that over a dusty rulebook any day.
It's powerful stuff. And honestly, it ties in with what we've explored before, about healing from inherited trauma and learning to trust ourselves. Radical compassion, as he puts it, is the only antidote to fear and division.
That brings us to another angle. Imagination as activism. In Ravenbrook's The Dawn of Unity, he uses fiction, speculative fiction, as a guidepost for reshaping society. He's not just telling a story, but issuing a kind of philosophical invitation, don't you think?
Absolutely. He asks us to imagine a world founded on collaboration, compassion, and diversity. It isn't sugar-coated either. The novel acknowledges the real challenges of conflict and division. But in the town of Illyria, for example, unity rituals actually change how neighbors relate to each other. It's fiction, sure, but it's also a blueprint, in a way, for how real communities might start to address conflict with practical spirituality, not just idealism.
It made me rethink what's possible. Like, the rituals in Illyria aren't mysterious or exclusive. They're these really approachable, creative ways of bringing people together to talk and to actually solve stuff. Makes you wonder, what would happen if we tried that on our own streets?
And as we've talked about in past episodes, speculative fiction lets us step outside of our cultural programming for a bit, doesn't it? We get a chance to try on unity or radical inclusion in our imagination first. Then maybe we bring that spirit into reality, ritually, relationally, or through activism.
It's the sacred imagination in action. These stories become, well, guides for spiritual activism. That's actually quite subversive, isn't it? Inspiring real-world change through imagination.
Speaking of real-world change, the Unity Manifesto is, almost like a ritual toolkit for communities wanting to resist hate and heal together. He's big on collective healing through reaching back to your ancestors, honoring the wisdom that got lost, yeah? And using practical magic to build stronger communities right now.
Yes, and Ravenbrook is pretty explicit in the manifesto. If we want unity, we need to act. It's not enough to say the words. We have to create spaces for genuine dialogue and shared ritual. Some of the steps he outlines are deceptively simple. Regular gatherings for open conversation, affirmation circles, and, crucially, rituals that welcome people of differing backgrounds and let them contribute their own symbols and traditions. This is how, apparently, tradition bearers keep the work relevant in times of upheaval. They keep adapting, keep listening, and never let the flame go out, so to speak.
That adaptability is key, especially when society feels chaotic. The manifesto encourages us to see rituals not as static events, but as living, evolving practices. We've seen in previous episodes how bringing ancestral wisdom forward, without being stuck in nostalgia, lets communities face down hate with something deeper and more resilient than reaction or anger.
And you don't have to be like a high priestess or whatever to pull it off. You just got to show up with intention and openness. It's practical magic for ordinary people, which I love because, let's be honest, most of us are just trying to get through the week without losing the plot.
So how do we actually stand strong against division, especially when things get ugly? Ravenbrook's advice here is refreshingly practical, not just spiritual platitudes. He gives real examples of how the tradition empowers members to face down prejudice, protect each other, and keep their communities safe and welcoming.
He calls out the need to address discrimination head-on, not just with statements, but with action. That might mean using unity affirmations in tense gatherings, or setting up buddy systems where folks check in on each other, especially those who might feel isolated or vulnerable in the current climate.
Can I tell a quick story here? I had this online blow-up in a spiritual forum. Someone was spouting the usual, my path's better than yours stuff. Normally I'd either log off or go full snark, but this time I tried a unity affirmation from Ravenbrook's book instead. Something like, may we honor the many faces of spirit, and may our words build bridges, not walls. And wild enough, it actually calmed the whole thing right down. People stopped fighting and started asking honest questions. Didn't fix the internet forever, but for that day, little bit of peace.
That's the thing, isn't it? Small tools, simple words, and the courage to step in. Those are the building blocks. Ravenbrook's work shows that confronting hate isn't about grand gestures. It's the commitment to kindness and solidarity in the everyday. And that's a form of practical magic anyone can attempt.
And it makes all the difference, whether it's at a ritual gathering, an online spat, or just checking on a neighbour. The tools are there if we decide to use them. Unity, in this tradition, is a daily practice more than a destination.
All right, mates. I reckon we've covered a lot. If you're still listening, thanks for sharing this space with us. May your flame burn steady and your community stay strong. We'll see you soon, unless Eric and Elijah have any last mystical wisdom.
Just this. Keep tending the flame in whatever way you can. Even the small rituals matter. Elijah, final word.
Simply, courage, kindness, and resilience. They're the legacy the Flamekeepers want us to carry. Until next time, then.
Catch you next time, and don't forget, the house is always open. Bye, legends.